schus of our learning should be panacea, protection for Eretz Yisrael. Unfortunately, with everyone that needs. We're going to start Lamed Daled and Aleph in the middle by the two dots. Keter Shel Shachar. Keter Shel Shachar is a krevel bin dam leivarim chul. The last page of Gemara was Abaya of Masada, Mr. Marach Mishmei the Gemara Libda Bashal. We had the list. We're not quoting that list right now. Now we're going back to the Mishnah, and we're quoting what we said in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, we said how he goes to the mikveh, and he gets the Talmud Kartzu. Remember Kartzu? He shechted it. And after he sprinkles the blood, Nichnas lahaktik ter shel shachar leitves haneres. And to bring, then he goes, he does the Rosh and the Eivarim and the Chavitin and the Yayin. And then Keter Shel Shachar Hisakriva bin Dam Leivarim. It goes back to tell me the rule that Keter Shel Shachar was brought in between the sprinkling of the blood and the burning of the limbs of the sacrifice. Now, if you look back at our list, yesterday, in the last down, so we said that you clean out the 5 candles, then you do the damatamid, which means the shchita and the sprinkle of the blood. Then you do the 2 candles, then you do the ketores, and then you do the limbs. You're really going back and forth over there. So 5 candles, tamid, 2 candles, ketores. After ketores goes the limbs. So the Gemara asks now, when we say that the ketores is in between the dam and the Eivarim, the truth is that, the dam and the Eivarim, but the only thing is it's also in between the candles and the Eivarim. I mean, it's in between the Maracha Gedola and the Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim, That's, it's somewhere in the day. But there's other details there. So the Gemara asks Mani, which opinion is this? Rabbanan. If it's the opinion of the Rabbanan that argues on Abishol, so we said that the Rabbanan held the Abishol held that Tavis Kol Nis Kedem Sekteris, which means the Rabbanan held that the Ketteris was done in between the cleaning of the candles. So if it's the Rabbanan, then it should have been Bing Dam Leneris Mi Bayele. Because what happens is you do the Damatamid, then you do the Ketteris, then you do the 2nd candle. Now Abishol has it the other way. Abishol has the Damatamid, the candles, and then the Ketteris. The last 2 candles. Is there a symbol that we could remember this? Abba, 1, 2, 1. So if you just do the Damatamid as a 1, the 2 candles as the 2, and then the Ketteris as the 1, that's his order. The Rabbanan don't do that. The Rabbanan do the Tamid, the Ketteris, and then the 2 candles. All right. And if it's going according to Abishol, then it should be between the candles and the limbs. Between the candles and the limbs, not between the Damatamid and the limbs, because Damatamid candles and then Ketteris and limbs. Okay. So it's not fitting with either opinion perfectly. So the Gemara says, Leilam Rabbanani, really it fits with the Rabbanan. However, Besidur Leikamari, we're not saying the exact order. We're just giving you the general outline. Taisus asks the obvious question. Once you're telling me that, then you could really say it's Abishol also. Taisus on the bottom says, he could have answered that. So he says that we have another source from earlier that it doesn't fit with Abishol, and that's why we chose to do it like this. Okay. Morning. Shall ben arbaim ma'isa kreva ben ivarim l'nesachim. This is very interesting. If you look back at the Mishnah, we didn't go through, when we learned the Mishnah, we didn't have Abba Shaul's whole thing already done. So, but if you look at the Mishnah, it says that the morning Ketores was between the blood of the Tamid and the limbs of the Tamid. And the afternoon Ketores was between the limbs and the libation, and the pouring of the wine. It's done a little later, at a one stage later. Where do you know this from? Rabbi Yochanan says, Kiminchas HaBaiker. Kiminchas HaBaiker Ucheniskei Tasa, right? Kiminchas HaBaiker Ucheniskei Tasa. Ma Minchas HaBaiker Ketores Kedemis L'Nesachim. Afkan Ketores Kedemis L'Nesachim. Just like Kiminchas HaBaiker, the way they bring the meal offering in the morning, what would they do? They would do the mincha, then the chavitin, and then the nesachim. And just like over there, the ketores was first. So to afternoon, the ketores should be first before the nesachim. Now, and second, the Gemara says, "Imalan ketores kedemis leivarim, mafkan ketores kedemis leivarim." Well, there's an issue because you're missing one point in this. You're telling me that in the morning the ketores comes before the nesachim. I agree with you; it comes before the nesachim, but it doesn't. Not only does it come before the nesachim, but it also comes before the evarim as well. And then in the afternoon, you're telling me that it comes before the nesachim, but after the evarim. So you're not matching it up like perfect. If you want to match it up, match it up. The Gemara says, "Miksiv keivari abayker, kiminchas abayker ksiv, kiminchas abayker v'lay keivari abayker." That's not our comparison. It says kiminchas abayker. If it wanted to compare it more precise, then it would have said keivari abayker, but it doesn't do that. Why is it giving me the general range? To tell me that it switches in the morning. In the morning, it's before the evarim and the mincha, the ketores before both evarim and mincha, and the ketores is before the evarim and the mincha, and then in the afternoon it's before the mincha, but after the evarim. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brayso. Okay, v'nisker revi'asayin. Right? So the libation, the pouring of the wine, was Yoma Shachris Mishal Arbus. It says, what was the pasuk? It says, it's a keves achad tasa b'beker, it's a keves ashin tasa ben arbayim. Kamin tasa beiter achiniskei tasa. What's the pasuk? Pull it up. I said that. So, perfect. Yeah. Eskavas got tasa b'beker, eskavas ashin tasa ben arbayim. Basir seifa. Sales the mincha Shem Kasis Revius in the last mid, Asi Barsina, which is interesting. Now, we said the morning tamid, the afternoon tamid. There was a lamb in the morning, a lamb in the afternoon, and the meal offering that came along was mixed with oil. And then there was the libation. Was a Revius. Now, the problem is that when it says it's libation, which one is it referring to? Is it referring to the morning or to the afternoon? Now, I would say it's referring to both, but which one primarily is it referring to? So the Gemara says, Yom Shal Shachris Mishal Arbus. It's really referring to the afternoon one. However, it's the same for the morning. Okay. Rabbi Yomer Arbus Mishal Shachris. No, It's referring to the morning one. And Arvis is learned from the morning one. Yeah. Taisus asks, well, he tries to avoid a question. He says, so the question that he's trying to avoid is what's the difference? He's talking about both. So he says, no, there is a difference. If they only had enough for one, so which one would you do? The one that says you learn the night from the morning, so that means the morning is the main one, and you would do that in the morning. The one that says that you learn the morning from the night, then the night one would be the afternoon one would be the main. Yeah, Taisus is arguing on a Radvaz. The Radvaz argues on Taisus. It's a famous Radvaz. Someone asked if they're in prison and they can be let out for one day, which day should they be let out for to do whatever mitzvahs? So the person that was asking had a thing about maybe it should be Yom Kippur, maybe it should be Purim. He had different things. And the Radvaz argued, he said, every day, if you're able to be let out today, you take it today. Yeah, there's no such thing as a more important mitzvah than the one that you have the ability to do right now. That's the Radvaz. According to this, Taisus is it's hard to say Taisus is teretz. But I only have enough for one, so I'm gonna do the first one. I'm not gonna push it off because the other one is the main one. Yeah. Okay. According to the Rabbanan, hi, B'tamid Shal.
You use that same answer when it comes to wine on Shabbos, wine and challah, candles, that. With that shot in the sense that you only have enough money to buy like candles. Technically, once you say the first one that comes your way, that should be the one you should do.
Right. It actually says that the meal, we learned in Psachim, that the day meal comes before, in other words, that you're supposed to have saved something better for the day meal. So why are you saving anything? You should just finish it up.
Yes. Like this, if you only have money for wine, right. Or was it wine and a candle?
Yeah.
Technically, candles come first.
Uh-huh. Okay. It could be that the pshat in that, I hear what you're asking, it could be the pshat is that right now I have to buy both. So I have to buy wine, I have to buy candles. Which one should come first? I'm going to the store of Shabbos with. I understand the mitzvah is going to be candles and wine and something, but the buying of it could be like at the same time. Maybe that's the truth. Okay, I understand the Rabbanan says, because this is talking about Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim. Why is it the Tamid Shel Bein Arbayim? Because it's finished off. That's okay. Tasa Bein Arbayim. Basir says so. That's why. Rebbe, my time. What's Rebbe's explanation? The Niskai is going back on what we said earlier. Amar Rabba Barul Amakra La Kebes Echad. Ezu Kebes Shenemer Bayachad. Haviyam is a Tamid Shel Shachar. See, it's interesting. There's a description of the keves. It's not just telling me a number; it's actually a description of which keves it is. I have the niskai, the libation is a revia sahin for the keves number 1, which when you go back as a keves achad tasababei keves hasheni. The sheni is a description for the afternoon. The echad is the description for the morning. So that's Rabbi's charge. Rabbanan Mayachad. What do the Rabbanan do with the word echad? Sim yuchad shebedri. Supposed to bring the best one. Rabbi. Should I open it now or wait? I'm sorry. Open it now. Yitzhak came in with the bag. Ah. Very nice. Okay. Okay. So now I'm missing the cover for this. It's got to be someone. Mimuvchar. Rebbe learns it from another. I'm sorry, Rebbe. Yeah. How does Rebbe know that you need the best one for the Talmud? It says Mimuvchar Nedarecha Nafka, from the best one of your vow. For your vow. What is the pasuk? What do you have? Oh, Mimuvchar Nedrechem. Rabbanan say Chad b'chai b'chad b'nedavet utzrichei. The Rabbanan say that wouldn't tell you everything, because over there it's talking about when you pledge to give a donation, you're supposed to give the best one. That doesn't tell you that when it's an obligation that you should give the best one. You see, there's two ways of looking at this. One says, well, if I'm giving a donation, then I have to do it properly. Another one says, donation is anyways something extra, but your obligation should be the main one. You should emphasize the main thing, not the secondary things. So the obligation should be the main thing. So therefore, I need two psukim, according to the Rabbanan. I need, by the donation, I need the main one, and I need to have the best one, and then at the and then the obligation one also needs to be the best one. Okay. And 34b. The Kain Gadol is older, or he's finicky, can't handle the cold water. So it says they would heat it up for him. We'll discuss how they heated it up. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda taught. So this ashashis is like pieces of metal. They would take iron, they would heat it up, and then they would throw it into the cold mikveh, and it would get warm from the hot metal. It would take away the chill. Where it says 1 second, that's the work of a blacksmith. He heats the metal, he molds it, and then he puts it into cold water to harden it. That's a malacha on Shabbos, and it's a malacha on Yom Kippur. So how are they allowed to do that? They shouldn't be putting it in. So the Gemara says, we're talking about that you didn't heat it that much that you were able to actually mold it and form it. So when you're putting it into the cold water, it's not doing anything. It's going to cool it down, but it's also going to heat up the mikveh, that's the point. And it was never hot enough for that to happen. That was her bibi.
Is this by night or by day?
He's using the mikveh
by day.
By day. They probably had coals that were burning.
Make a bunch of old fire outside.
I think they had a fireplace that would heat the room, and they kept it in the fireplace.
Putting wood in. If you go fire,
right.
Just so much.
Well, towards the morning they would need more wood. Right. They can't put in more wood. Right. So they would take it out and they would put it in. Right. Yeah, I don't know how they would keep it.
The thing that's on the fire when you're trying to get too hot.
What's it?
You can't control the fire when you're trying to get too hot. You know? Because how did they make it more universal if they're trying to have a fire?
Right.
They put in a fire, how did they make it hot?
No, the way they make it hot was they had these bellows and they would like keep they weren't doing that, so it wasn't getting as hot as
they had to keep the fire going.
Right. Yeah, someone described to me what it was like. It was in Romania and in the winter, and Shabbos, Friday night, the kids would stand by the window like 3-4 o'clock in the morning waiting. There was a guy that would come around and put wood in everyone's fire. It was freezing. They would like shivering by the windows on Shabbos. Yeah, that's the way they did it.
Maybe that is done.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So Abaya Mafil came in Shagil Tzirif. That your intention is not for the metal. You don't care about the piece of metal. That's not what you're doing here. Your intention is to heat up the water. So it's a davar she'ein miskaven. Now, it's a machlekes about davar she'ein miskaven. Rabbi Yehuda says it's also, Rabbi Shimon says it's mutter. So Abaya is saying, well, let's follow the Rabbi Shimon. And we are Abaya Hachi. Does Abaya actually say that? Tanya, but we have a brisa. B'sara lase. It says that he cuts off the flesh of his foreskin. What if there's tzaras there? There's a rule that you're not allowed to cut off. You're not allowed to cut off a piece of tzaras. Rabbi Yeshua. So Rabbi Yeshua says, yeah. For health reasons or whatever, but tzaras, no. Yeah, I saw some sefer said that the skin in Yonamapa is tzaras. They made a big deal. You're not allowed to cut it. You're not allowed to do surgery. This is not a halachic statement. Someone was just writing it. Okay. So you're not allowed to cut it. You're not allowed to do a bris. You're not allowed to do a bris. It says no. You are allowed to. But this is what I feel about Makom Sheisham Beher Sikitz. The Gemara says, Ravina Bakra Lamali. Why do I need a pasuk for this? I could just say it's a davar she'ein miskaven. I'm not intending to cut off the neged tzaras. I know it's going to come off, but that wasn't my intention.
That was not even a question. I mean, you can't. Why would it stop? You can't stop.
Let's say a person didn't have a bris when he was a baby, for whatever reason. So he's getting it when he's older, and he spoke lashon hara. So, V'amar Abaya, to answer that question, Abaya says, Rabbi Yehuda davar she'ein miskaven aser. That's a teretz. Abaya is following Rabbi Yehuda. That is davar she'ein miskaven as aser comes along the pasuk to teach me that no, even though your intention wasn't to cut off the tzaras, your intention was to give him a bris, but we don't care what your intention was. It's a davar she'ein miskaven. It's still aser. So why does Abaya? So how could Abaya tell me that putting the hot metal was a davar she'ein miskaven? When it says hani mil b'chol terikula, but hachet tzirif derabbanan. By a biblical law, so then we say davar she'ein miskaven is also. But by a rabbinic law, this type of tzirif is for some reason is only rabbinic. I'm not sure why. Is tzirif always rabbinic, or is maybe tzirif is always rabbinic?
It just seems like it would never get hot enough to really matter for a metal. You're molding metal. You're talking about extremely high temperatures.
Uh-huh.
This is like just kind of helping maybe a little bit.
But that's the first teretz. That's Rabbi's teretz. Oh, you want to say even in Abaya? No, Abaya is saying that no, he giled tzirif. It was enough. It was very hot. Yeah. So why is it only rabbinic? Maybe tzirif is only...
if the issue here is makabapatish, it's easier to say that it's rabbinic.
Uh-huh. Rabbi Hananel says, Hacha and Yom Kippur, such a type of tzirif is the Rabbanon. Why? Because it's malacha it's not a malacha shetzricha l'gufa. Not a malacha shetzricha l'gufa. He's throwing both things together. Because I don't need... Usually malacha shetzricha l'gufa means that the malacha has the original malacha was meant to do some purpose, and I'm not getting that purpose out of it now.
The
That's
article has
usually.
a note on it.
Yeah, what is it?
It says
What do they
because
say?
it's not a utensil. That metal is
Oh,
not a utensil. So
okay. Who says that? Who says that?
Tosfos, an explanation of Rashi.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was avoiding this big Tosus. I don't know if you see the size of it. So, okay. Shikaya. Like the day off.
Yeah, Daniel, think about the day off.
That makes sense, because isn't the initial word, what was it, ashashot?
Yeah,
That's just a piece of metal.
right.
Makes sense, yeah.
Right. What's an English word for just a piece of metal? Is there a word for that?
Uh,
The chunk.
Something is called a tongue.
Oh. Uh-huh. Okay. The Mishnah says, "Seviyu lebeis parva." Now he's going to go to the mikveh for real. This is the not just the mikveh that he goes before the carbon tamid at the morning, but now he's going to go to the mikveh in the holies. It was in the holies. It was in the courtyard. Parshas Sudden Shalbutz Beinol Veinam, and they spread out a linen sheet. We said before that this was to tell him that he's going to need to wear linen clothes, but today is a day of white linen. So Kiddush Yad V'Raglav, he washes his hands and his feet, Upashat, and then he gets undressed. Reb Meir Aimer Pashat Kiddush Yad V'Raglav. Reb Meir says no. First he gets undressed, then he washes his hands and feet. We had that machlekes before. Yarad v'taval olav v'nestapad. He goes down to the mikveh. He comes back up and he dries off. Ivila big day lavan. They bring him the white clothes. Lavash, he gets dressed with Kiddush Yad V'Raglav, and then he washes his hands and feet. We're not mentioning the other opinion over here that says that he washed before he got dressed. Now we're only following Reb Meir and the Rabbanan that both agree that he gets dressed and then washes.
Remember a few days ago, we had a discussion about whether all of his kedushin of his hands and feet were at the kior or could be done by hand.
Right.
Yeah.
This one at least was done by hand because it was upstairs by the mikveh.
Right. Very good. Especially if he was undressed. B'shachar hayalovish pelusin shall shnei maser mana. How do they translate pelusin? Egyptian. Interesting. In the morning, you would wear. How is that associated? I mean, pelusin with Egypt. Oh, yeah, Egyptian city. So they would wear this. He would wear this Egyptian linen that cost their weight. What does it say that it cost? 12 mana. It was worth 12 mana. And Bein Arbayim, I don't know. Bein Arbayim Hinduyan shall shmeina meyes zuz. In the afternoon, it was Indian linen that was 18. Was 8. Shall shmeina meyes 8. 8 zuz. So the afternoon was less. Okay. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Meir says. 800 zuz. 800 zuz. I'm 8 mana would be 800. Okay. Rabbi Chachamim b'shachar levi shal shmein aser mana. The Chachamim say in the morning it was 18 mana. Bein arbayim shal shnei maser mana. It was 12. Both of them is less in the afternoon, lesser quality. Hakol shleishim mana. Altogether, according to the Chachamim, was 30 mana. Elu mishal tzibur. I'm not sure what the correction is there. These come from the Bach is taking out the words Mishal Tzibur. If he wants it to be more expensive, then he adds his own money for that. Okay. Now, I said Indian, but Rashi says that it's Ethiopian. He says, quotes a Targum Yonasim ben Azil, that when it says how you have to can an Ethiopian change the skin, so the Targum says hindava. Yeah, that's a discussion when it says Achashverosh ruled me Haidu at Kush. If Haidu was actually a place in Ethiopia, and Kush is Ethiopia also, so you would have to go the other way. Yeah, maybe that Kush was around the world. Yeah. Okay. My parva. What does it mean, parva? Rav Yosef, parva is Amgusha. It was a magician that his name was Parva. He was a builder. Parsus Sadin Shalbot, they spread out. I'm not sure why he's being mentioned. Usually we didn't appreciate those magicians. Yeah. Why did the room get his name? Okay, Parsus Sadin Shalbot, they spread out. I don't know if that would make the difference. They spread out the linen sheet. Maishna Shabbat. Why linen? You should recognize that today's service is with linen. In the morning, he would wear 18. The value was 18 mana, 1800 zuz, and in the afternoon was 12. The Tana Minyan Asalashmin, the Gemara asked. Then you tell me that the total is 30. Are you coming to teach me math? That 18 and 12 is 30. So Sakamash Malan is coming to tell you the Batzar Mehani Leinavit. It can't be less than that. But Batzar Mehani Utfeyahani. However, if I'm going to do a little bit less than the morning, 17 in the morning, and I'll do 13 in the afternoon, that's less than, but that's not a problem. The Kuli Alma Mias the Shachar Adifi, but everyone accepts that the morning should be more valuable. Minalan, where do you know that? Amarapuna Braid Rabilo, Yamakra Bad. That's quoting Psukim from the clothing that the Kohen Gadol wears on Yom Kippur. It says like Ksenis Bad, Kodesh Yilba, Shemithna Sevan, Yoel Basari, Avnei Bad, Yachkan, Snethnis Bad Yilba. So it says a bunch of times, Bad. What does that tell me? Move Chabra Bad, it should be the best.
By the way, just with you, since Parvami, something digging under the Kodesh, because he saw that later and got it. And it's when he felt that he was digging in, they found it, and that's when they told about this thing. Wow. Yeah. They were the early Azakians digging tunnels.
So Ramesha just pointed out that Parva, Tyson says, was someone that dug in the base of Mikdash to be able, he dug a tunnel, to be able to see the Avodah of the Kohen Gadol. And when they caught him, they called the name after him. What did they do to him? I don't know.
I think they killed him.
Oh, yeah. And then they named the room after him.
So that, it's like, so that people would remember
So don't do
not to do that.
Uh-huh.
That's all I can do over there.
Thank
Okay. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. From Lamed Hayim and Bis. What is that? Oh, the Shah. Really? Wow. The professor is telling us that the Shah of Iran, his name was Parva. The House of Parva. Uh-huh. Okay. So the Gemara has a question. It says, "V'lav shebagadim achirim, v'lo yakdishu v'lo yikadshu asam b'vigdayim." They can't wear their own clothes. They have to wear other clothes. My lab achirim chashuvim yam. We're quoting the pasuk in Yechezkel, and which Rashi explains that it needs to be talking about Yom Kippur. He's talking about that he's going to wear a second set of clothes when he goes into the base to the Kodesh HaKadoshim the second time. First time he went in, you remember, was with the Keteris. The second time he goes in is to get the Keteris out, to take the fire pan out. He has to clean to remove it. So he wears other clothes. When it says Acherim, it sounds like Chashuvim Yam. It sounds better, like better clothes. It says Lo Acherim Pchusim Yam. It needs to be less. Now, so what's the question? Oh, the question was that it sounds like it's better. You're telling me that the afternoon, that not the afternoon, the second time he goes in, it's less. It says he wears other clothes. Other sounds like it's better. It says no, it doesn't mean better. It just means other. It means less. I don't know what the Havamina is. It's a good question. Yesterday asked me what's the Havamina here. Okay, Tani Rabbi Yehuda bar Yehuda, Rav Huna bar Yehuda, V'amila Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda. After the community service is done, then if the Kohen Gadol's mother made him clothing, he's allowed to wear it and do the Avodas Yachid. Well, Avodas Yachid over here is referring to getting the fire pan out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Gemara says, Pshita, it's obvious. If the clothing was given over to the community, then it becomes community. How does the community own anything? Someone gave it. So what's the big deal over here? I mean, someone gave it. So the Gemara says, well, maybe she didn't actually give it over. Like people give a gift and then they keep they donate something and then they follow. So Kamash Malan, we don't suspect for that. We say that it was actually given and it was given entirely. Okay. Amra Laval Yishmael ben Pavi Shasla Imaksena Shal Meya Man of Alev Shavavid Bavid Siachad Masr Letziba. They said about Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi was a Kohen Gadol. We had that before, remember? Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. We quoted that he was a Kohen Gadol. We quoted that once. His mother made him, maybe it was actually this Gemara. His mother made him a tunic that was the value of 100 mana. Yeah. It's 10,000 zuz. No, it was linen. Does it have? Oh, I don't know if it was the gold or the linen. No. So Amra Laval Rabbi Elazar ben Charsam. Rabbi Elazar ben Charsam. Apparently, he was a Kohen Gadol also. Yeah, I don't know exactly how this would look, but his mother made him clothing shtei ribai, 10,000, 20,000, 20,000 sons, double of Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi. Yeah, but they didn't let him wear it because he looked naked. It must have been some sort of like lace look, very fine. So the Gemara says, 1 second, would you be able to look through the clothing? It wasn't a thin thread. It had to be folded over. The thread was 6 ply. So Amar Abaya Kichamra b'mazga. The Abaya says that it was like wine in a glass. That even if the glass is thick, but you still see the red through the glass. So here also you're able to see somehow even through the material. Okay. Tanarabana. I'm gonna get a little treat. Start in a brisa. Ani v'asher v'rasha ba'im ladin. A poor man, a rich man, and a wicked man, they come up to the heavenly court. She said this is the beginning of a joke. Okay, so La'ani Aimrim Pnei Ma'alei Asakta B'Torah. To the Ani, they ask him, why didn't you study Torah as a poor man? Im Aimer Ani Ayisi V'Tar B'Mizing. I say, if his comment is that his defense, I was poor and I had to work. It was very difficult. So Aimer they say to him, Klum Ani Ayisi Yesimi Hillel. Were you more poor than Hillel? Amra about Hillel Zaka, and they said regarding Hillel, the elder, Shabbacholim, the Yom Hayo Isa, Mushtaker B'Tarpek. Every day he would work, and he would earn a tarpek. Tarpek is a half a dinar. It's 4 dinar. A dinar is a half a zuz. It's 4. So, yeah, okay. So chetzav v'yinaisim l'shem beis hamedrash, v'chetzav l'parnasas anshe beis. Half of it would go. Apparently, there was a fee to get into the beis medrash because of the guard that was there. So they had to pay. The guard to get in. So, and then he had the rest of the money, the other half that he would use for food for the day, for himself and for his family. One day there was no work. He wasn't able to get into the beis medrash. So Olav and Notlav Yoshev al Piaruba. He went and he climbed up and he sat on top of the skylight. Aruba, it's a hole in the ceiling. It wasn't necessarily glass. Yeah.
Then how does he lie on top of it?
Oh, in the picture he's lying on the glass. But I don't know if that's what actually was. Maybe there was a hole. They had small holes that would give light. The Gemara talks about Aruba, that's a tefa, and there's a piece of a mace that's under the Aruba. That's the whole house become tiny. Okay. So he wants to hear the Torah. Dirili Kim Chayim Yipishmaya Vavtalion. Amro, they said, Isa Yemer of Shabbosaya. That day was Friday, and it's Kufas Tevisai, so it was in the winter. The yardle of Shelag Min Hashemayim. The snow came down from heaven. Shalom with the Shachar, when the dawn broke, when it started to get light. Amalei Shmaya Avtalion. So Shmaya says to Avtalion, Avtalion Achi, Avtalion my brother. Every day there's more light here.
If there was a hole, then how could he sit on top of it? And if you're saying that, then
it was a small hole. But today it's dark. Maybe it's just cloudy. They looked up. They see the image of a man. Maybe, okay, fine, it was glass. Fine, it was glass. So Olo, they went up. Matzol of room, Shalish Ames Shelig. They found the height of three amas of snow was on top of them. Parku, they took it off. They washed him. They put some sort of oil on him. They put him next to the fire. This person is worthy of violating the Shabbos for saving his life. I guess they'd have to do that for anyone, no? So that was what they told the person that said he didn't have time to learn because he was busy making a living. Asher, a rich person. Why didn't you study Torah? Asher says I was very wealthy. I was very busy with all of my properties, possessions. I'm like Asher were you more wealthy than Rebbe Lazar? Amar Lavel Rebbe Lazar ben Charsim. Say about Rebbe Lazar ben Charsim, Shniach le'Yavle de'elef hayaris be'Yabasha. His father left him as an inheritance 1,000 cities. who connect the Nelas Finis Bayam. And he also, corresponding to that, was 1,000 boats, 1,000 ships. He would take a jug of flour on his shoulder. And he went around to study Torah. One time, his servants found him, and they drafted him to do work. You see, what would happen is the owner of the city could enforce that people of the city do labor for him. Now, the owner of the city happened to be this person walking around, but the other workers didn't know that, so they grabbed him to do work. Meanwhile, he's the owner. So, when they don't know who you are. So, Amar Lahem, Bebakasha Mikem, Henichuni, please let me go. I want to go study Torah. I'm like, by the life of Rabbi Elazar I'm not letting you go. That was him. So, okay. He never went to check up on them. He was just busy studying Torah all day and all night. So that's what they're going to tell him. No, that was Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. It was Rabbi Elazar ben Charson. Now, I'm a little confused by Rabbi Elazar ben Charson because some measures that Rabbi Elazar ben Charson was a student of Rabbi Akiva. And he didn't know how to daven for the Amma. And then he went back to Rabbi, they laughed at him. He went back to Rabbi Akiva taught him, and he came back to the city, he davened for the Amma. And he made them silent. Charson couldn't be silent.
I thought you said that was Ben Chisma.
Chisma, oh, that's Chisma. Thank you, Chisma. Okay, so good. That fixes that. Those are Rabbi Elazar ben Chisma. So this was the Kohen Gadol, right? This is Rabbi Elazar ben Charson. We just said he was the Kohen Gadol. His mother made him that very expensive clothing. They were very wealthy, right? He got it as an inheritance. Very interesting. Yeah, the modern version of this would be the members of the Yomi, but they come to learn even though they're very busy. Yeah, I'm not saying which one, the Ani or the Usher. That doesn't matter. That's actually what you see. That it really doesn't matter. But, okay. Someone told me in Spanish there's a saying that there's no such thing as I can't, there's only I want. Something like that. So I want or I don't want. So, Russia, this Gemara is it's interesting because it doesn't end the same way that it starts. They asked the Russia, how come you didn't study Torah? Says I was very beautiful. And my Yetzer Hara was overtaking me. All day I was busy fighting with the Yetzer Hara.
What's the Yetzer
It talks about it in Moshe Startup. Yetzi's asking what's the Yetzer Hara. So, the Bacher that he comes late to say that. So he said, so why are you so late? He said, all morning, my Yetzer Hara was telling me I should stay in bed. I was in my Yetzer type. It was the whole fight. Finally, the Yetzer type won. So, I'm like, Klum na Yisem Yosef, were you greater than Yosef? Were you more beautiful than Yosef? Amra Laval Yosef Atzadik, B'chol Yom V'Yayim Haisa Eshes Petifa Mishtadalte B'Dvarim. Petifa's wife was seducing him every day. She would get dressed for him, and the clothing that she wore in the morning, she didn't wear in the afternoon. She kept trying, what clothing he's going to like. She didn't wear, and then she would switch again. She kept switching her clothes. Doesn't mention that. Amrulai, Hishamali. So she says, listen to me. Amrullah. He says, no. Amala harini chavashka beisasir. I'm going to imprison you. Amala Hashem mater asir. Hashem will take me out of prison. Harini kaitefes kamaska. I'm going to beat you down. Break your back. Hashem's like, no, Hashem straightens the bench. Harini mesama sinecha. I'll make you blind. Hashem b'kechivim. No, Hashem is heals the blind. Nasli alef kikar kesef l'shmeila. She gives him 1,000 kikar kesef. He should listen to her. Lishka vetzla, to lay with her. Liyasima, to be with her. V'leiratz, he doesn't listen. V'leiratz l'shmeila, he doesn't want to listen to her. The Gemara says Lishka vetzla, to lay with her b'eilam hazeh. In this world, liyasima leilam haba, be with her in the world to come. It sounds like to be punished with her. That's what it sounds like. To be with her in this world and also in the next world, to be punished. She's going to take him out of both worlds. Now, what's confusing in this Gemara is it started off with saying that the Russia is being judged for not studying Torah. Says all day he was busy fighting, and the answer, it doesn't say that Yosef was learning Torah. Yeah, it misses like that point. Like I don't know. Daniel will have a shot. Nimtze Hill Mechayv Asanim, Rabbi Ben Chas Mechayv Sashim, Yosef Mechayv Asur Shai. Which means that each one of them.
Well, maybe they're learning the third.
Yeah. Moshe says that
in other words, even during the time of whatever she was doing, she kept responding with prayer.
That the conversation that Yosef had with her was psukim.
Yeah, he didn't just.
He managed to say psukim. That's a very nice shot, because that would explain what the Russia was doing wrong. He was busy fighting with his Yetzer Hara. What he should have done was go study Torah. Why are you fighting?
In other words, use the Torah to support it. He wasn't saying, I'm not going to listen. He was saying, he was kind of using Torah as
Torah tablet. Let's see it's Torah. Okay. Let's leave it over here. So our schedule is tonight at 1:45. We'll do Lamed Vav. We want to learn on Tuesday. What time is Shachris? Okay, so should we learn an hour before Shachris? If it's 10:30, I don't know what time Shachris. Then we'll be 9:30. If it's 10 o'clock, or 10:30. If it's 10:15, then we'll be. Which Shachris? There's a bunch of them. I guess the main one is Shul. Okay, we'll learn an hour before on Tuesday. So the Monday shir will be Sunday night, and Tuesday will be. So expect to start from Lamed Ches afterwards. Lamed Ches on the top, the Siddhat. We'll start from the Nicanor, the story of Nicanor's doors. That will be on Wednesday.
So what time will the Tuesday share be?
So we'll be an hour before Shachris. I think if Shachris is 10:15, we'll learn at 9:15.
Where's that going to be the share?
Are you in town?
If it's not too hot, I'm thinking of walking over.
Oh wow!
If it's not too hot, I'll see.
Where are you gonna eat? Come
At my home. At my home.
Are you gonna go back?
That's the idea. I'll see how tired I am. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah,
Oh. And where will the share be?
we will be upstairs here.
Where you are now.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Does
So
that make
it'd be
sense? We'll learn up here.
It would be approximately 9:15.
Right.
Okay, in the morning.
9:15. What about on at night? We'll see, because it's going to be in the order of the shiurim. I think the shiurim are all going to be in here, so we'll come up here. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yom
Okay.
Tov.
Okay. Have a good day. Have a good Yom Tov.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Yeah, have just a 1 day Yom Tov.
Yes.
Pack in all the cheese and the linses to 1 day.
I have to tell you a couple of things.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I went to show Chabad of Rehavia,
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love it. Rabbi Goldberg.
Rabbi Goldberg's show. So I'm sitting down, and I sit outside, and right next to the door. Anyway, so along comes Bezalel Lipschitz,
Oh.
Boralea's brother.
Uh-huh.
So I say hello to him. Hello, Bezalel. How would you do here? He says, well, I moved to Yerushalayim.
Oh.
At the boss, apparently. Moved to Yerushalayim. He just
Oh,
moved
very nice.
weeks ago. Anyway, so he walks the show. Anyway, I see another guy who looks familiar to me, but I really don't recognize who he is. I went up to him after davening, and I said, "Excuse me, could I ask you what your name is?" And he says, "My name is Meir Ashkenazi."
Oh.
So I said, "Meir Ashkenazi." I said, "Are you related to the Rav in Chabad?" He said, "The old Rav was my uncle."
Uh-huh.
Anyway, and he said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Herschel Smith." He said, "Herschel Smith, by any chance are you mechutin with Sidron?" He said, "Yes." "How do you know?" He said, "Well, Shana Berkowitz is my mother-in-law."
Uh-huh. That's
And
right. He married Leah. Yeah. I thought they were living in LA. I didn't know they were in Israel.
Anyway, Bezalel Lipschitz was standing next to me. So I said, "This is Bezalel Lipschitz. He's also one of my machakonim." And she said, "Lipschitz from Cincinnati?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "Are you related to Vorolea, who was my dorm counselor in Chicago?" He said, "Yes, that's my sister." And I said, "It's also my other daughter-in-law." Well, it's a small world.
Yeah. Very nice.
Anyway, the professor talked about the Shah of Iran.
Professor. Yeah, he's here. Yeah, he mentioned the Shah. His name was, or the house was called Parva.
Pahlavi.
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 There's a story that goes along with that.
Okay.
The Shah's father had a band of mercenaries that worked for the king of Iran. And they worked in a war against India, I think. Iran and India got into a war somehow or other. And they won the war. And then they came to the Shah's the Shah's father came to the king and said, "Okay, we won the war, now pay us." And he said, "I don't have any money." So he said, "Well, we'll take over the country." Now, the Shah's father, his name was Pahlavi. Pahlavi in Farsi apparently means son of Levi. This whole band of mercenaries was Jewish. So the Shah of Iran apparently has Jewish roots.
Wow.
Died in Panama. Cancer.
Really?
And my dean was the ambassador of the United States to Panama at the time, and had to arrange, and he was thrown out of Iran, find a country where this guy could go. So he made it Panama. Also, there was a physician here in Miami who was the one who diagnosed him.
He had a house in Miami.
The Shah had a house in Miami.
He had a house, it wasn't in Miami, it was in, up a little bit from Miami. Right on, right on the water. And it was bought by a lady who had a candy factory in Ohio someplace. And she put the house on the market. And at the time it was on the market, I was in Miami on some other business, and I was dealing with a real estate broker. And he said to me, "Do you want to see a nice house?" I said, "Yeah." So he took me to this house that used to belong to the Shah of Iran that he was handling the sale of. And it was a beautiful house right on the water. It was a little bit above, I forget what it was, a little bit above Miami. It was in, I think it was in Fort Lauderdale or Boca maybe. But the story of Shah's roots was actually told to me by the son of the Israeli ambassador to Iran at the time, was many years ago. He was, they had relations with Iran. Israel. Anyway, he was the Israeli ambassador to Iran. He told me about the story of the Shah with his Jewish roots. So I believe that it has.
What was this ambassador's name? What was the
Wait a minute, it was he was oh God, he was the guy who had Abba milk. What was his name?
so this was an Israeli ambassador to Iran?
An Israeli ambassador to Iran. Maybe it was the English ambassador from Israel to Iran, or something like that. It was it began with a B. I'll think of the name after we hang up. One of those things that I can't remember. What was this name?
Oh,
He davened by Earl in Muncie.
oh really? Was the name Harmelin or Lubrani? I'm just searching now.
No, it was it began with a B.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay, fine.
Benayan.
What is it? Benayan?
Benayan.
Uh-huh. Very interesting. Okay, fine. Have a good Yantif. What do I hear in the house? Are there kids there?
No, next door.
Oh. Okay, fine. Very nice.
Not lucky enough to have our grandkids.
Uh-huh.
We got one about 4 hours away.
Who's that?
Schnee Zalman Smith.
Oh, Shneur Zalman. Yeah, but that's not a little kid.
No,
Okay.
the grandson.
Right. What's going on? Does it feel safe in the streets in Yerushalayim?
Yeah. They're very worried in Kfar Chabad, though. It's right
Uh-huh.
next to. Good, they have all kinds of terrible street fighting and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
And the police can't control it. There are too many Arabs.
Uh-huh. Wow.
People talk about it.
Wow. Crazy. Okay. Should be safe. Okay, fine.
Okay.
Have a good Yom Tov. Only good things.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Chag Sameach. Professor, Chag Sameach. Chag Sameach.
Good one. Okay. And Yitzi's here also. Yitzi Liebenstein.
Hey, Yitzi, how are you?
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. How you
Thank you
doing?
for all your learning. Please protect Eretz Yisrael with all your learning. Maybe panacea for against the riots.
We hope.